In this video, we are going to create a Paginator class, the instance of which is going to be used within the view of our page. So let's quickly add this class to our pagination directory. It's going to be called Paginator, and we are going to start with a constructor. The constructor will take two arguments. First one will be array of records. By default, it's going to be an empty array, and then pagination view instance as pagination. Let's initialize these fields, both of them, so records as an array and pagination, and let's add them to the doc blocks as well. Okay, so the first method we are going to have is going to be a getter for these records, so public function records, return these records. Let's add some doc blocks. Let me just create a few new lines. It returns array and it's going to be get records. The next one is going to be getter for the pagination. So public function pagination for the HTML of the pagination. Return this pagination and then get method on it. Return string and get pagination HTML. The next one will check if we have any records actually. So public function is empty. Return empty this records. It basically checks if this records array is empty, and it will return boolean true or false based on this condition. So check if there are any records. The next method and the last method of this class is going to be called public function count to give us a total number of records. So return, and this time we're going to use this pagination and a method which we actually don't have yet. It's going to be called number of records. And because we are actually delegating this call to the pagination class, which is actually our pagination view. It's not the actual pagination class, it's pagination view. And as you may remember, if we go to pagination view, obviously when we are type hinting this as pagination view, you can obviously pass through this select pagination view because it extends this class. That's why we have this generalized here with this abstract class. We can put paths through any child of this class to make sure that it works just fine. So what I'm going to do is to show you, actually, if we go back to this pagination view class, you can see we can delegate directly to the pagination class only limit and offset. But within the pagination now, if I open this class, we have one method called number of pages. So what we can also do is before this method, we are going to create another public function called number of records. And that will return this records count. Let's add doc block and get total number of records. So what I'm going to do is copy the name of this method, go back to pagination view and add it to this array so that this method can also be called, and then call to this method can be delegated to this main pagination class. So now calling this method number of records from within the paginator class, we call in the pagination, which is this view pagination view, and then number of records. And because this method is allowed, that's why we delegating this to this pagination instance and its number of records method. That should work just fine. Okay, let's remove this redundant space again. Add some doc block to the count method. Returns integer and get number, total number of records. Okay, and that's our paginator class completed. Let's just go back to our pagination. We added this method. Let's quickly add a test for this method as well. So if we go back to tests, unit pagination and pagination test, we have number of pages we should have somewhere. It identifies gets number of pages. Let's duplicate this test and gets number of records, or perhaps total number. number of records. Okay, pagination number of records should return 100. Let's run this test as well. So pagination test, and there we go, everything passes just fine. So that works fine as well. Okay, if we save it, close it, save the pagination class as well, we are now ready to actually use this pagination component with our search form.